Hey y'all, we have a championship challenge, friendships falling apart, and a wild card that has officially shaken the WoW roster to its core. This is Steph and Kat Talk WoW.
Yeah, yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs and the Ruben Studders. More once you discover. For all of the lovers of Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers of Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers of Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape. Every one of us, I was kinda late, so I just made it up the struggle bus. Walking by the fate, cause I know it's right in front of us. Yo, I ain't with the hate, gotta
Hey y'all, welcome to a new episode of Steph and Kat Talk WoW, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. Of course, this is a different day here again, but you know, life be lifing, in good ways and bad ways and all the ways in between. But we are here on this WoW Wednesday to talk about all the goings on of this past weekend's episode of WoW Women of Wrestling Superheroes. Of course, I'm your girl, Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, contributing writer for Daily DDT, and color commentator featured on the Belladonna Division, Battle Club Pro, Black Girl Magic 2022, and Spartan Wrestling. But of course, I am not alone. I am here with my hooded friend and tag team partner, the creator of In Cat We Trust, the creator of the Women of Color in Wrestling panel, and an amazing super mom who has a daughter who just turned 17. She is In Cat We Trust, Katrina Blake. How are you, Kat?
Tired. And yes, my apologies. I am the reason we had to move it to Wednesday, but my daughter's birthday. I have a almost adult child, and so the emotions and the feels. But I am happy to be here. This episode was, oh man, a lot, and so I'm happy and kind of sad to discuss some parts, but otherwise happy to be here.
Awesome sauce. And of course, this episode was really crazy. It was a lot of ups and downs throughout it, emotional, turmoil and stuff. But before we get into the episode properly, there was something that I did notice yesterday while I was ambling around on YouTube. So, sometimes when you're just playing stuff for noise and you just got it on, while you're working and doing other things, I was writing and I was just watching stuff on YouTube. And then I see an ad, of course, the holiday ads are going crazy because Christmas is coming up. And I see an ad for StockX, which is this famous app that people go on to buy different items, most notably sneakers and really rare tennis shoes. And guess who I see in the commercial? I see WoW Superheroes own G.I. Jane, and she looked absolutely beautiful in the commercial. She was smiling, a gorgeous smile of hers, opening a present with her friends in the commercial and everything. And I just thought that was really interesting. Now, sadly, I wasn't able to get like a full-on picture of it because I was watching the YouTube on TV and not on my phone. But it was really nice to see, it's so cool to see the WoW Superheroes participating in other things outside. And it's even cooler when you mess around and find them when you're not looking for them. And then it's just really cool. So big ups to G.I. Jane and her StockX commercial. I'm more than sure a lot of people are doing holiday shopping in various places. And it's cool that she can get in on some of that holiday ad action. So Katrina, how do you feel about G.I. Jane being featured in more things this year? Because of course she was also in the Lipstick Lover music video for Janelle Monáe. And of course, that song went on to be Grammy nominated. I actually saw her on her tour when she came through Birmingham, and it was fantastic. So how do you feel having this information and having, the idea of seeing your WoW superheroes in other places, in and out of wrestling?
I think it's great. I'm always for people getting their coins. Get your money, ladies. I'm all for it. I'm all for, again, the more we see them outside of WoW, the more ways we can have more eyes on a product. And that's always a good thing in my book. But also, again, get your coins. So whatever you need to do to get that money, have a good time, do what you need to do. I think it's fantastic seeing, them appear outside of WoW. Just it's like, oh yay, look at them. It's always like when you think of like other promotions, it's a little bit harder to see some of them in other places outside of the wrestling ring because how strict things may be. And so it's really nice to see these ladies able to do other things like wild things, but also things that's like they're just kind of having a moment or whatever it is for their career. I think that's pretty awesome.
It is. And then, I also thought about Jasmine Allure, who is, of course, known as Jennifer Florez on WoW. I thought about her when we saw all the posts Saturday involving NXT Deadline and how CM Punk was there and how he was taking pictures with Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez, and how they basically mentioned how how they both are CM Punk and AJ Mendez's kids. And I was just like, see, and I retweeted the picture and said, see, the only person missing is Jasmine Allure / Jennifer Florez. And it's just so crazy. So maybe one day we'll see Jasmine Allure / Jennifer Florez in NXT, but it's just really cool, to think of the WoW girls when it comes to stuff like that happens in and out of wrestling. So big ups to all the girls for doing stuff in and out of wrestling when it comes to that. And big ups to G.I. Jane for her StockX commercial. Congratulations. So let's get into this episode. We've prolonged it long enough. We got to get into it now. So this episode started with the very first match, which was Genesis of Exile versus Jessie Jones. And this match had really big implications. So, of course, basically, if Jessie Jones won this match, she would have qualified for the championship challenge 5-way match that happened later on in the main event. And she, of course, showed up last week and got in the face of Princess Aussie, the Wild World Champion, and told her that she had a better record than a lot of the girls in the back, so she deserves a championship opportunity. So, of course, her beating Genesis rather was going to be like the catalyst for her gaining that opportunity if that was the case. So Exile was out there with Genesis, and Americana, surprisingly, was out there with Jessie Jones. And this match was pretty good. You had a lot of the hard-hitting blows that we've come to get used to when it comes to Jessie Jones. But then, of course, you also had the MMA and the submission work that we're used to from Genesis as well. There was a triangle choke that she hit at one point with her legs, which I thought was really cool. But then you had Jessie, who just kept trying to break Genesis' arms throughout the entire match, stepping on her arms, hitting like code breakers on her arms and everything. Like, she was just being really tough with her throughout. And another part of the match that really did, surprise me, but then sort of added layers to the story for me was every time Genesis kept distracting the referee with her shenanigans and whatnot. And she kept expecting Ice Cold and Exodus to interfere on her behalf like they normally do, but they chose to stay away because Genesis, of course, told them, like, look, I can do a better job than the both of you. Y'all just need to watch me. So they just elected in just backing away, and not getting involved at all. This happened 3 separate times in this match. And it was just really crazy to watch that happen. And I thought for sure that with all of that going on and with the miscommunication of Exile, that maybe Genesis would lose. However, Genesis wound up winning the match due to Jessie actually covering her but trying to pull on the tights. And Americana told on Jessie Jones. She told the ref, Benjamin, that, look, Jessie Jones grabbed the tights. That's not right. And Jessie was pissed about it. And because Jessie was pissed about it, Genesis took advantage with the roll-up pin and covered her for the 1-2-3, and Genesis won. And this definitely gave more confidence to Exile, and in watching her, get the win in this dastardly sort of way. So maybe this will be, the sign of things changing for their communication breakdown. But it seems like it's going to be the end for Americana and Jessie Jones's friendship. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Katrina, I want to know what you thought about this match, and how do you feel about Jessie Jones having such a big opportunity, but squandering it due to her cheating?
I feel like partially Jesse might have went in thinking that they would involve themselves because that's what they've been doing. And I think it's a you mentioned communication breakdown to an extent. It is, but also I'm a bit petty when needed. And I felt like that's what it was. So like when she expected, you know, uh ice cold to pop in, and when she expected uh Exodus to pop in, Genesis Exodus to pop in, she was like, oh, but I can do better than you, so if you can do better than me, you don't need me then. And so I'm that petty that I'm like, I'm not, I can be here, I'll be like, yay, support, but I don't need to involve myself because you said you were better than me, then what do you need me for? I'm a bit petty, and so I took it semi petty that they was like, well, you did say, and she did. Now, did it help her claims that she wound up winning? Possibly, because she did win the match. And so now she probably really feel herself now. She's like, and I won. Yeah, didn't help me, and I still won. And so in that regard, I don't know if it necessarily will make it better between the communication between her and them, or if it's just like, okay, well, she proved the point, or whatever the case. I don't know, because I feel like this can go either way. It can go like it gets worse because she might really start being a bit cocky with it now that she did better than they did, because she did. Technically, she was the one who got the win of their matches, and so it makes sense. But or could it be like, all right, well, you've proven yourself enough that we can get back to how things were before. I can see it going any way. With regards to Jesse, I feel like a part of it was Jesse feeling like she thought it would be some interference, but I also felt this was also partially Jesse reverting to where I remember from when we first started watching WoW, which was sometimes she got herself into shenanigans and then things didn't always work out and she was a little bit upset about it. Do I think Americana should have went that hard? No. I think like, all right, yes, it's incorrect. But to go that hard, it's one of those situations when I mean personally, I always tell people if I'm doing something crazy, probably tell me. And they'll have me looking real crazy and you just like, oh, we're friends, and so it's fine. However, in this regard, I think if anything, Americana probably could have said something afterwards, like, you probably shouldn't have done that. My reason for saying that is because they had already been on this weird space between each other for months. And I feel like this does not help your case that is starting to look like, as nice as Americana may seem, that she has some ulterior motives in this. Because you, I am quite sure, also want to become WoW champion at some point. I feel like most of them do. And so if you can get rid of your friend from the equation and just focus on yourself, well, then here we are. And if you can do it by the, I'm going to do it all by myself, cheap, blah, 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 coming in, you automatically is like, I don't know, Americana, you have done some kind of side iron type stuff with matches, or you're not as into a match when you should be, or and again, I get being a mom and children come first, but when you're on your job, my kids ain't in my job. If I'm at a show or something with my kids, I'm not working because then I can enjoy the show and I can be a mom and I can be there and be like, yay, bonding time. But if I'm working, they're not there. Why? Because my job is my job, and this is not time to try to multitask that when you gotta give your best in this type of situation. And I don't wrestle. So ma'am, you wrestle. So to have your kid there and he's doing types of stuff, and now you gotta do all this other stuff and it's causing more discord, and then you're still being kind of funny, or you're looking at her funny when she says, I want to do this. I'm like, I don't know, Americana, you give me fake vibe, fake friend vibes. I don't like that. I don't like fake friend stuff. I'm a firm believer of be what it is, say what you mean, do what you say kind of vibes. And so for her to go that hard because she went extra hard to tell, like you went out of your way to make sure the referee misses how much nonsense as well. We say this all the time. The referees are always missing imperative things during matches. We're like, why did you not see this? The one time the ref is doing what the ref normally does, here you go. Excuse me. Let me tell you how you missed this. Ma'am, relax. She was doing too much, and I felt the way she did it kind of made me, I don't know. I don't think you as friendly with Jesse as you first alluded to be. I don't get the vibes. Do I think Jesse should have done that? No. I don't, like, I always joke about saying I'll be more healed because I might talk shit, or I might like not wait for somebody to come out and do a whole entrance. I might have to beat them up on the ramp. Yes, but I don't need. I feel like cheating is where I'm like, no, we don't need to cheat to win. I'm top of shit and win anyway. That's if I was a wrestler. That's the vibe I will be on. So I feel like no, you shouldn't cheat, but also did you have to go that hard too? It was like, man, calm down. You're doing too much. Too much involvement there. And so am I surprised that it necessarily I kind of went in thinking either one of them can honestly win this. But I do think this can again. I think Jesse and Americana are done now. I thought they were kind of on the way there anyway. I feel like this kind of cemented that. But as far as Exile, I feel like this can go either way. Honestly, they can feel a way that she actually won without them, and she might get more cocky and more annoying about it, or just can be like, all right, let's get it back together and let's join back into the group and do it properly. So, but yeah, otherwise it was a good match. I just was like, oh, well, Americana, he did the most, but all right, I guess.
Yeah, I almost feel that even if Americana had not have said anything, um, with the ref, not seeing it, and if Jessie had gotten the win, she still wouldn't have liked it, and that still would have caused a rift. Now, it might not have been as big as a rift, but it still would have been a little bit of a rift because Americana likes to do things a straight lace way, and she's a baby face, and it's just like when you're a baby face, I know because I, I've been told I'm the top babyface, host, and when it comes to stuff like this, it's just like you want to do things the right way and the clean way. You don't want to necessarily do things, the negative way. And something that her and Jessie Jones have been going through a lot of is just them having miscommunications with the way that they do things, and that maybe that their, friendship is sort of, having a crossroads or it's over because of the fact that Jessie is a by any means necessary type of person, and Americana is the type of person that just likes to do things the right way and beat you on your own merits. And that's understandable, but at the same time, if that's your friend, I could kind of see from Jessie's perspective, if you're my friend, actually help me. You don't, snitch on me either. But it was just really awkward and really sad because Jessie seemed like she really was ready to have that opportunity to fight for the Wild World title in the main event. But what's so sad is it's just like, to me, you know, you were fighting and beating Genesis on your own. Why do you feel like you need to cheat? Because I feel like, even though you cheated and that would have gotten you insurance, you didn't necessarily have to cheat, because I'm more than sure Genesis more than likely would have tapped out. If you had kept, trying to break her arms the way that you were doing. So it was just really frustrating on those ends. But of course, Genesis wound up getting the win, and now Exile has a battery in their back for being the roughhousers that we're used to being. And Katrina, you do have a point. It seems like Jessie is going back to who we, first saw her as in the first season of this iteration of WoW, where she was a, any means necessary type of woman who was trying to bulldoze her way in the tag team tournament, even without her partner. And speaking of partners, we did see online where her and her partner, Amber O'Neal, from back in the day, from the other version of WoW, came in the locker room and jumped Americana. So that adds a very interesting wrinkle to things that I'm more than sure we're going to see play out on television in the coming weeks. But baby, it's getting crazy. It's getting crazy, but it's safe to assume that Jessie Jones and Americana's friendship is over. But if you haven't seen that clip, I do recommend you follow WoW Superheroes on Instagram and on Twitter at WoW Superheroes, so you can check out that bonus content that feeds into the stuff that you see on TV. But yeah, Jessie Jones and Americana's friendship is definitely over, and you hate to see it, but it was kind of a long time coming. So this is where we're at. And then, of course, they showed on screen backstage how Americana and Jessie were having an argument, and Americana was like, "I'm sorry, but I can't stand by and watch you cheat like that." To which Jessie replied and said, "You don't stand by me," which of course led to the jumping. So this is where we're at. It's insane. And yeah. So after that, we did have an explanation of the championship challenge match, which was taking place later on in the night by Lauren Hunkley. And in my mind, I thought this was going to be like a regular fatal 5-way match. But as it turns out, it was kind of more of a gauntlet-ish style type of match with the 5 people. And the rules were, of course, that Princess Aussie, the champion, will begin the match with one other challenger. Every 2 minutes, a competitor would enter the ring, and the match can only be won when all competitors have encountered the ring. That kind of reminds me of War Games and how the War Games match couldn't start officially until all competitors were in the ring. But then they also said the winner of the match is the first superhero to secure a pinfall or submission on any opponent. So that basically meant that the champion does not have to be involved in the decision at all. So those were the rules of the championship challenge match. And of course, whoever got the pinfall or the submission was going to be the WoW World Champion. So after Lauren Hunkley fabulously explained those rules to us, we go backstage again and see Sofia Lopez, the WGA, World's Greatest Attorney, explain the rules to Tormenta in Spanish. And I really love the fact that whenever you watch shows like this, you get to hear and see different cultures of people, speaking their different languages. And I just really appreciated seeing that and everything. So that was cool. And once Sophia mentioned the fact that there was going to be a wild card in the match and that Jessie Jones wasn't going to be in it, she was angry. She was like, "What do you mean? Like there's going to be a wild card and you don't know, who is going to be?" And then Sophia was like, "Look, those are just the rules. I can't do anything about it." So that was that. So this leads us into match number 2, which was the Classmaster with Samantha Smart versus Jennifer Florez, who we previously mentioned. Now, in this match, it was really interesting because the Classmaster, was on a couple of maybe last week. I can't really remember. But she did lose her last match. And yeah, this is where we're at. And now the Classmaster had to fight Jennifer Florez, and Jennifer seemed very sure headed into this match. And at one point, I thought maybe the Classmaster was going to dominate her because she was very, power driven throughout this match, utilizing her knees and her legs with those high kicks and stuff, and just tossing Jennifer Florez around. It's just really interesting how all these opponents who just so happen to be bigger than J Flo have a tendency to just throw her around like she's a rag doll and just underestimate her. But the thing about Jennifer is that she utilizes her speed throughout the match, because there was one point where she hit a DDT through and she had actually spun around through the ropes in order to hit it. And I was like, that is mad impressive. Like, Jennifer Florez is just such a good wrestler. And every time she kept trying to jump on her, it just seemed like the Classmaster just kept slamming her down and slamming her and playing target practice with her face in the turnbuckles and everything. And there you see Jennifer Florez hitting a crossbody splash. Like, this match was pretty good for the most part in terms of action, but in a really surprising twist of things, Jennifer Florez won the match with a schoolboy pin. And I was really happy about this because here lately, J Flo in this season has been losing quite a bit. And it was just really good to see her win this match. But she couldn't even celebrate the win because Samantha Smart and the Classmaster jumped her from behind in order to prove a point. And then Steffi Slays comes to the rescue to try to beat the Classmaster off of her. But then they, of course, have the, you can't even really say the advantage, but they just proceeded to beat up on them and talk about how superior they are to everyone, and that they demonstrated a show of strength, superiority, and discipline in beating up on the both of them. And this irritated me because I'm just like, bro, why is it that every time Steffi Slays and Jennifer Florez gets in a ring together, it's either they lose or they win, and then they make them look like super weak by getting attacked by their people. Like, it's just really annoying and aggravating to me. Like, I was hoping that instead of Steffi Slays, picking up J Flo outside of the ring and walking away, that they would just get back in and stop them from talking and just beat them up from behind the same way they did. But that's not what happened. So, yeah.
Bless you.
Excuse me, guys. So Katrina, how did you feel about this match, and were you surprised that J Flo got the win?
I was, because, as you said, previously in the last couple of weeks we've been seeing her, she has not been winning. She's been getting kind of manhandled. She's been getting thrown all over the place. We said this about Stephanie, if Steffi, what, 2 weeks ago, about even with her matches just seems that even when she tries really hard, she doesn't seem to win. And so I definitely did think going in that, you know, Jennifer Florez was not going to go past, she was going to try, but I didn't think she was going to win, especially with in the beginning. Classmaster was kind of dominating a bit in the beginning with how she was kind of just throwing her around and just doing what she will with her. With that being said, even though I'm not really a fan of schoolboy pins, I am not a fan of them. But in this regard, I understood you got to take it where you can take it or get your win how you need to get your win. And it's a legal way to do it. And so she got that pin and, you know, got at least a W for some weeks of not getting them. With that being said, it's unfortunate because after all of that to win, even with a schoolboy, and then to have your friend come out and try to help you if you guys get beat up, it kind of took away from her winning. Because, like, okay, you won and then you got beat up for your win. And then your friend who's also been losing got beat up also. And it's just like, oh, like, it's sad because, like, yay, but oh man, that's kind of those vibes I was feeling with that. I was happy that she won it, but also it was like, oh man, you did all that, even with trying to keep yourself in there, got the victory with the pin, and then it's like, well, doesn't matter. We're gonna beat you up anyway, vibes. And I'm like, oh, that's unfortunate. And Steffi really didn't need no more beating down. She had enough. I feel she's had enough for 2023. I felt like they can let it up now. Like, give Girly a break. Give her a break. I feel like she's gotten enough beaten up in 2023 that we didn't need to do that. And so that was unfortunate, but I am glad she got the win, even if she didn't really get to enjoy that win.
Yeah, like it's just getting irritating now. Like I don't know what it's gonna have to take. I know a few weeks ago we were talking about Steffi Slays, changing some things around. Like maybe she'll have to turn heel, or maybe she just needs to get a bit tougher in her approach. But I just feel like, between her and Jennifer, it's like they're just so nice that I feel like just because you're a baby face or just because you're a face doesn't mean that you can't get buck. And I wanted them to just get buck with Samantha Smart and the Classmaster so bad. Like I understand the Classmaster sort of stands head and shoulders above a lot of the girls because she's tall. But at the same time, that does not mean that you cannot beat her down some sort of way for bullying you. And I really wanted them, to assert their dominance. Like you have dominance. Like just because you're nice doesn't mean that you can't be dominant. And I wanted them to like jump them from behind and get back at them in that way. Now, that's not to say that they won't in the future, but at the same time, from this episode, from where we're at now, like that was just a really like sad showing for me. Like, okay, these girls are like mad talented. Why are you making them look so weak, whenever they're getting victories, but yet and still getting jumped by heels? It's almost like, the heels are sort of just running the asylum at this point. And I'm just like, nah, like somebody needs to take a stand for the light. Okay. And I'm just sick of it. I'm just sick of it. Okay. Like stop letting these folks bully y'all and get buck with them. Like ain't nobody gonna think less of you if you start getting buck at these people back. Okay. So please make some changes, like get back at them, even if you have to get back at them backstage. I don't care what y'all have to do, like jump them. This is wrestling, okay? This is fighting. Jump them. Like that's just what I want. But yeah, this, after that happened, I was just devastated. But Jennifer Florez still got the win though, and that's really cool for her, and I'm happy that she did. But it's time to get buck for real, for real. So this led into match number 3, which was Rebel Haze versus Adriana Gambino. And this made me happy because we hadn't seen Rebel Haze in a minute. Like we saw her, of course, in her match against Candy Crush, the gatekeeper. And really since then, we hadn't really like seen enough of her this season to give us the impression, that maybe she was just rising up or still trying and stuff like that. But then she popped up in this episode and I was like, cool. Great. It was good to see you. And then she fought Miss Adriana Gambino. And funny enough, on commentary, David McLane was talking about how Adriana's family invited him up to New Jersey and how they actually gave him, a good Italian dinner. And I was just like, why does that sound really good right now? Like, Like I love Alfredo and I just love, spaghetti and so many different, Italian foods. So it's just like, all of that just sounds amazing. And the fact that he got invited up there by the family, I mean, I guess that just shows he's in good standing with them or whatever. But shout out to New Jersey. I know Katrina might feel a little bit different about that, but hey, I'm down in the South. I ain't got no dog in that fight, but hey, maybe one day I'll make it up there. You never know. But that was really cool. But this match was pretty action packed for the most part. Both women locked up. And Adriana Gambino was being a bully at first to Rebel Haze and actually gave her a shoulder tackle. But then Rebel, bounced back by actually throwing Adriana into the ring corner and then hitting a shoulder tackle to her and then blocking an arm drag that Adriana Gambino tried to hit onto her. And then she gave her an arm drag back. And I was like, okay, give her a taste of her own medicine, Rebel. I love it. And then, of course, Rebel Haze actually went for a slam, but then Adriana Gambino slipped out of it and then targeted her knees and her thighs throughout the match and just kept trying to like break her apart bit by bit. And it was just really crazy how Adriana, just continued to go to war on her limbs in that way, which is just an amazing thing that she does. But then Rebel tried to fight back by kicking her arms and her ankles, and then trying to lock her into, of course, like a lock that you see like in this picture. And then she went for a high kick, but then Adriana Gambino ducked it. And then Rebel got a sweeping kick in on her, but then she kicked out of it. And it was just a really good match up until Adriana Gambino hit her patented chef's kiss after blocking Rebel's attempts for another move and covered her for the 1-2-3. And Adriana Gambino is still undefeated. She beat Rebel Haze here. So yeah, Adriana is just blazing on through the Wild Girls this season, and she has remained undefeated since the start of it. So you hate to see Rebel Haze, as a new girl get defeated like 2 times in a row. But this is where we're at, and Rebel lost, and Adriana is still undefeated. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match, and how did you feel about Rebel Haze's performance since we hadn't seen her in a minute?
Oh, I think Rebel definitely performed well. And it's one of those things is like when you see somebody new appear, you don't want them to lose, but it's also one of those somebody has to lose. And so it was like with regard to you don't want to see Rebel lose, but we also know that Adriana is undefeated. And as we saw at the end of this, she remained that way. I'm really curious to see how long this trajectory is gonna last before she gets a title shot. Um, which I guess will make when we get to that next match, people are we my feelings about that because Adriana has been undefeated. And I think probably the only person that's been undefeated in the last, if I'm not mistaken, since the season has started, she's the only completely undefeated person on here. And so it's like, well, if we're gonna have, you're gonna have somebody who's undefeated, she's definitely should be a shoe-in for number one contender for the title. I feel like there's like even if her methods are a bit mean and she's definitely been bullying as she definitely tried with Rebel and Rebel was able to kind of adjust that slightly, she has earned it, and so it's like even if we felt away about the bullying part, she has earned, I think, right to the top of the list, if anything else. And so, and dare I say, as much as I am a Tormenta fan, I think we said this previously before that, the fact that you kept getting title shots and lost, to get back to another title shot type match is like, that's a weird thing when you've been losing, but you have somebody like Adriana, who is the only completely undefeated person, I believe, in this season so far. And so it's kind of weird. And so I think it was a good match either way. And I am liking Adriana's growth, I say, from the last time we saw her before she was gone for a while, where you can see she definitely came back on a mission of just like, I'm letting you guys know what it is, and I respect that. even if I don't necessarily like the methods, I respect that you making sure people leave knowing who you are. And I like that. And again, I like that she's more grittier as far as being more down to the mat. I think that makes her look even more imposing when you're somebody who's really kind of like she kind of bougie a little bit. She's a bit bougie. I don't know if she's as bougie as like Gigi is, but she a bit bougie. You know, her whole hat and everything, she's a bit bougie. And you know, and then the fact that they had like Italian dinner, I can only imagine like New Jersey Italian people. I can only imagine how that dinner went. So like I think it was a good match. I'm not surprised necessarily that Adriana got it, but I do want to see what they're gonna do with her because she technically has earned it. I feel like there's really what else do you need her to do? Like she's technically earned the right to be a number one contender. Honestly, probably more than anybody else this season. And so I'm kind of interested to see how that goes. But otherwise, solid match.
Yeah, it really was solid. And then another person who has been undefeated this season is Candy Crush. She has been beating everyone that they've placed in front of her, especially all the new girls, as the gatekeeper. So you could definitely argue that at some point it would be cool to see Candy Crush and Adriana Gambino fight each other, and maybe they would fight for number one contendership. Even though the more we get into the rest of the episode, it might be looking like there isn't fully a traditional way to become a contender the way that we traditionally think as wrestling fans. Um, but yeah, like Adriana Gambino has been on a tear, and even though she is this, imposing, she's not really fully imposing, in terms of her look, but at the same time, in terms of her ability, like she will tear you apart. And I just love seeing her growth as an athlete, and seeing that this season. And you would think that, all of the things would be handed to her due to her being undefeated. And what's so funny is, David, you're on commentary and you also run the show. So by all means, why haven't you given her an opportunity for the Wild World title? Like, why hasn't that happened? Like, that's pretty interesting, that out of all the people that Princess Aussie, fought against and gave opportunities to, Adriana Gambino has not been one of them. And notably, Candy Crush wasn't one of them either. But I guess that fully can't be explored now the more we get into the main event. But either way, she's been kicking butt. But I just want Rebel Haze, to be on our televisions more. Now, I don't know exactly, what she has, going on in her life or whatever, but I am interested in seeing her in this iteration of WoW a whole lot more, because this is just our second time, I believe, seeing her on television. And I need to see more of Rebel Haze because she's just really enthralling to watch. I want to see more of her. And hopefully, she can turn around the same way the other new girls have turned it around, like Gloria Glitter and like the Classmaster and so many other new faces that we've seen. So yeah, that's where we are. Adriana Gambino remains undefeated. So in the comments, we have 202 Degree watching on YouTube. Thank you for watching. He's saying that the Tonga twins are his or her favorite, and I definitely agree. And they are also saying, look out for free agent, former NXT wrestler Alexis Gray, that was a part of Chase U. Yes, I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the former NXT girls who did get released this year is going to be on WoW, and she made those announcements because if you follow her on social media, she said that she had auditioned to be a WoW superhero and that she got in. And this week they are doing tapings, so for all we know, she could pop up next year. You never know, but I am excited to see her, still exploring wrestling and not giving up on it, because some people might decide to explore wrestling in other avenues, or some people might just take a break for a while before you see them again. But she definitely bounced back and went for another opportunity, and I'm glad that she went, to an all-female promotion like WoW. And I cannot wait to see her performing whatever character that she has created and concocted to be. Like, I'm really excited about that. So before, of course, we announce one of the matches that's happening next week, we have to go into this main event, which was the Fatal 5-Way Championship Challenge between Princess Aussie, Penelope Pink, Tormenta, The Beast, and a wild card girl, who revealed herself later on in this match. Now, I thought it was really almost poetic that the match started with Princess Aussie and Penelope Pink, because in my opinion, those two had one of the greatest championship matches this year, when it came to their one-on-one action. And I just really enjoyed the fact it felt like sort of like a play on a lot of the journey that Princess Aussie had, as the champion outside of her fighting some of the new girls. Like, it felt like a journey of all the people that she sort of had to fight against to get to the title, or overcome to get on the road to it. Like, it was really cool. Her and Penelope Pink had a good going, and then she even knocked her out of the ring a couple of times. And then Tormenta joined the fray, and she started, slamming people, all over the place. And she traded blows back and forth with Princess Aussie and Penelope Pink. And disrespectfully enough, Penelope Pink tried to rip off Tormenta's mask. And I was like, ma'am, you know better than that. But then again, no, she doesn't. I'm giving her more credit than she deserves. The beef still goes on. I don't care. And then, of course, there was even another point where, as the minutes kept going on, the Beast came through and she ran in and gave a double German suplex to Penelope Pink and Tormenta, and even slammed them off of the top rope. Like, her strength was on display throughout this entire match. Like, I just really enjoyed everything that they were doing. Tormenta hit a Styles Clash onto Penelope Pink, and then she went for a cover as if it was a regular match. But here again, you can win this match unless all competitors were in the ring. So as Tormenta was climbing the top rope, the Beast hit another slam suplex, off of the top rope onto them. And this was where the wild card revealed herself. The mystery woman was Abilene Maverick. Now, for those who might not know who Abilene Maverick is, she was on WoW Superheroes in past iterations. Like, she was on in 2018 and 2019, because I had to do my research, because back then I was not watching WoW. So she popped up, and she's known as the governor's daughter, and she was this blonde, beautiful woman, and she just popped up as the wild card in the match. And I was shocked. I was like, yo, who are you? Where did you come from, girl? Like, what? It was just really insane. And Stephen Dickey sounded like he was not looking forward to her being a part of this match at all. He was like, no, are you kidding me? No. Like, he sounded like he was real irritated. I was like, oh my God, this is a very polarizing choice here. It was just really crazy. And the thing that irritated me about Abilene was the fact that she kept trying to cover everybody that had already been knocked down. It was almost like she was trying to take advantage of every other woman's work throughout the match. She kept running away from the Beast. As you can see, the Beast, caught wind of her, and she was trying to run away from her and stay out of the match. And I was just like, so you become the wild card, you get in here, shake things up, and then don't even fight? Girl, what are you here for? What are you here for? What is going on? It was just really insane. But the match kept going on. Penelope Pink knocked down Princess Aussie. Princess Aussie looked shook from seeing Abilene. Tormenta and the Beast hit a double clothesline on each other outside of the ring. Penelope Pink hit the Pink Nightmare on Princess Aussie. And then Abilene threw Penelope Pink out of the ring and covered Princess Aussie for the tragic pin. And Abilene Maverick is now the new Wild World Champion. And as she celebrated, David McLane got up from the table, from the commentary desk, and gave her an interview. And she said that, and there was a sea of boos from the arena. Everybody hated it. They were just like, boo, we do not like this at all. Princess Aussie looked heartbroken. Penelope Pink had to be held back by referees because she wanted to fight her, which I guess for the first time ever, she and I actually agreed on something. That's never going to happen again. Like, it was just really a polarizing choice. And Abilene was saying, look, y'all might not respect me, but y'all need to let me talk because I'm Abilene Maverick, the governor's daughter. I know it's been a while, but I had to come back because the past WoW champions have been mid, in my opinion, and that the people in the audience are also mid, and that's why I had to come back to be your new WoW world champion. And that's where the episode ended with all the confetti falling, and she is now the WoW world champion. So, yeah, crazy stuff. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this wild card choice and the way that this match went and how she wound up winning? Because I got feelings too, but I'm going to let you get yours out first.
So I enjoyed the match up until that. I thought one, as you stated, having kind of Penelope and Princess Aussie, considering Princess Aussie took the title from Penelope, and it was all that nonsense about them taking the belt from her. I thought it was very fitting to have them start that match. I did. I also really enjoyed kind of even seeing Tormenta, even which I'm now hoping, as I kind of said a little before, but also a little earlier, that means she shouldn't be in a title match anytime soon. And this is not even shade to her. It's just you've gotten so many title shots and you have lost to everyone that you literally need to get to the back of the line now. And this is like no shade to her. It's just I feel like let's be right here. And so she did well, but and even with the beast, doing that double German, like this when I saw that and I was like, this is what I was a fan of when I was first introduced to her when I first started watching. It's just this how dominating she is, and I felt like she truly did that in this match. If you kind of forgot, and why we got that with her, beating up Vicky Lynn, but that was a different type of match because this was more of I owe you for what you did. And it was very different to kind of see her just focused on the match as the match, and it wasn't any type of grudge in a way. And it was really nice to see. It was truly really nice to see because I felt like ever since she's been back, it's been like who hurt me or who's the reason, and so it was really nice to see her back in that element. Like this is what I remember it to be. Like this is what it was. With that being said, as great as all the other ladies was, I get that Abilene, and she's been there before, and that's fine and well. I did not like her winning this. I kind of felt it was a bit of a slap to the face of Princess Aussie. I feel like Princess, and I actually, while there was a lot of shenanigans, and even though I don't have a beef with Penelope like you do, there was a lot of shenanigans happening when she was champion. And in this regard, I truly understood what she was feeling because I felt if I was one in this match, referee's going to do a lot more to hold me back. Personally, I didn't particularly like that one. She kind of came in trying to use everybody of what they have already did when she popped in. And I get the whole aspect of a wild card, and a wild card is supposed to be like, yeah, surprise, but also I feel like it's just a bit of a slap to the face of some of the ladies, especially with some of the ones involved, such as the Beast, who technically never lost her title and got it only taken and had to kind of relinquish it because of nonsense that happened with somebody from the Fab Four. And then you had again, Penelope had a fantastic run in regard to length. You had her, finally have a legit match, which she lost. And then and since and every time Princess Aussie had any match that kind of had her title involved, it was always something else happening. So it was never a true actual title match because there's always some outside something going on, even if it was people that had nothing to do with it or just they popped up out there. And now she's focusing on that as well. And so she wasn't even focusing. So to have them have a match where they were really kind of showing out, and then this person comes in, do a little nonsense, get a pin and win, and then had the audacity afterwards to talking about, oh, let me speak, ma'am. No, better than me. Personally, Princess Aussie's better than me. Penelope's better than me. I don't think I would have been that nice about it, to be fair. I'm assuming that's why Stephen Dickey's response was so, I don't like this because he must knew she was on some shenanigans, but to come out talking real crazy, talking real spicy, like you did some work. I'm like, ma'am, girl, if you don't calm that down, no, not me. And this is why I don't wrestle, because no. And so I'm hoping that this is not a long title reign. And I don't want to, not that I want it to be negativity on somebody else's re-debut or whatever the case may be, but I just felt like that was a bit of a slap to the face to those ladies in that match. I felt like they were really, really, like, we've seen them kind of show out in 2023, but again, the Beast just got back not too long ago. And to kind of, and then even Tormenta was gone for a little bit where she wasn't really there. You kind of had, Sophia kind of focus on Las Banditas. And so to kind of really see that, like, yes, look at the ladies doing their thing for somebody to be like, oh, I don't have to do anything. And then you win. I did not like that. I personally did not like that. I was highly, highly, highly annoyed with that. And I am hoping, as mean as this now sounds, that she does not have a long title reign. Earn it. We were just talking about how you had, and I forgot, and sorry, Candy, you're my girl. I actually did forget talking about it because you wasn't on this week's episode, that you were also undefeated. And so you have a Candy Crush who not only is undefeated, but also ushering the new girlies. And then you have Adriana, who's literally been gone for months, come back and be undefeated. And this lady come in 5 years, do nothing and get a title? Man, please, no. I was highly annoyed by that. I felt it was a slap to the face to the girlies in the locker room. I think it was a slap to the face, honestly, to the girls that was in that match. I thought that they deserved better than that, but in particular, because Princess Aussie has literally been a champion who has been very kind, regardless of all the nonsense that happens to be going around when she was title champion. She's very kind about all of it and still held everything with grace. Even her response afterwards was still with some grace. Grace, I don't know if I would have given. And so I thought it was really kind of shitty, excuse my language, for it to end that way, for her reign to end in that way. And I know, again, wild card match, I know things can happen, but I felt like I would have been more okay if they threw Adriana in that and she got it. They threw Candy Crush in that and she got it and won it, because at least they've worked the last couple of weeks. Somebody gone 5 years, man, no. I just, and then again, to talk spicy like that, like you was grinding, it's like, girl, stop. And so no, I thought it was a fantastic match until that happened, and that made me very upset. Not like upset where I'm like throwing some stuff and knocking stuff down, because that's wrestling has never made me feel that, but just upset that I'm like, I need a minute to, I don't like this. Poor Princess Aussie, she didn't deserve that. None of them did. But I guess we'll see what we're gonna get with Abeline. I hope I'm probably not pronouncing her name wrong. Abeline. Sorry, that's not on purpose. I want to see what they're gonna do or what she's gonna do. She's gonna be like another woman that has this entitlement like Fab Four kind of had, or is she gonna really work? We'll see. But I do think to finally get the Beast back in the title match, for that to be that, sucked. To have Princess Aussie take that pin, not cool. I didn't like it. But otherwise, before that, I was perfectly fine with this match. I thought the ladies really, truly did their thing before all of that happened.
Yeah, like I really love the match too, and I love the surprise element that Abilene did give, because I just love it when I see more of the women. But I did hate that for Princess Aussie, because she had to work through so much to get a fair opportunity at the Wild World title, and then after she won, it's like she had it stolen by Lana Star, and they didn't even want to like give credit where credit was due, just because she didn't cover Penelope Pink. And my thing is, that didn't matter. It was like a triple threat, that it doesn't matter, how you win it in that way. And Princess Aussie really worked up, to that point to become the champion that she had been for like the past 3 or 4 months. Like she really had done an amazing job. She was a graceful champion. She was giving opportunities. She was a fighting champion, unlike, Penelope Pink, who was making excuses constantly for how she wasn't on TV, saying she was an attraction and all that other stuff. But at the same time, Princess Aussie was a great champion. She had upped her game in terms of, her in-ring ability to get to that point. And for it to be taken away by someone, who, mind you, it was fair because it was a wild card in that aspect, but it just wasn't fair for her to have that taken away from her, in that way. It really did suck. And it's like you said, she is a good person. She is a kind woman, and she, has, been great to us. So it's just like to see all of that happen to her, and then for her to feel, you know, discouraged in that, because she did post a tweet that I did see that made me sad, where I was just like, no, like, Princess Aussie, I'm gonna need for you to not give up now, and not make it seem like, wrestling, wrestling has its moments where, of course, you feel, a high, and then sometimes you feel the lows of lows, because you love it so much and you put so much into it that you figure it's supposed to give back to you every time, and that's just not the case. But at the same time, you can't give up, because it's just like her place in wrestling is solidified. The way that she wrestles, her athleticism is solidified. What she offers in terms of allure is solidified. So I don't ever want her to give up, on anything, or on anybody in the WoW roster, because, she's amazing. And I want to see her work her way back up, to being the WoW World Champion. I mean, quite frankly, I feel that because she took the pin, she should have gotten the first dibs on a rematch. But they announced that the Beast is getting a title match against Abilene Maverick this weekend. And I kind of understand that, considering she didn't lose per se this championship challenge match, and like we said, she never lost the title. So Katrina, you might get your wish in terms of Abilene having a short title reign, but at the same time, I still feel like it's terrible that Princess Aussie, after being such a fighting champion and giving opportunities to the other girls, even the girls who had just came in, she gave opportunities, to a Gloria Glitter and stuff like that. For her to have lost that way was very unceremonious and rude. And honestly, if Abilene wants to act like she's entitled, then entitled people get knocked down real quick in the world. So I'm hoping that either Abilene will show that she, is a good athlete, or she'll just, try to rest on her laurels, and then, try to fandangle her way out of fighting with the Beast somehow, or just try and cheat or something like that. But either way, I just really need for Princess Aussie to just get another opportunity, because she gave us way too much in this title reign. In this short title reign, for it to just have ended, like that. So I understand how you feel, but of course, next week, we will be seeing the Beast versus Abilene Maverick for the Wild World title this weekend. So be on the lookout for that. And that was the end of this episode of WoW. Thank you guys so much for watching with us on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter, and on Facebook. Of course, if you want to support us, you can follow us everywhere you follow us, and just continue to watch every episode of the show. On our YouTube channels, there are playlists listed where you can find every episode that we have done so far. And just get those likes up and those subscriptions up and all of the above. And just thank you guys so much for supporting. Thank you, Kat, for, of course, being my tag team partner and talking about this episode. And just tell everybody where they can find and follow you and what you've got going on.
You can find me on most social media platforms and Cat We Trust, Threads, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. E is a 3. I will be having a new interview next week, I believe. And so definitely go check that out. I'm trying to kind of get some more content on the channel before the end of the year, because we're actually at the end of 2023. As crazy as it seems that the year has went by as fast as it did, in particular, the last 5 months seem to have gone really fast for me. But I do want to have a little bit more content out there before then. So definitely go check out my channel. And if Monday, which we should be back to normal scheduling schedule. Wow, sorry guys again. Monday, catch me and Steph as always talking about WoW superheroes. And then on Tuesdays with Shay on bodyslam.net talking NXT.
Awesome sauce. And also check out her content on Daily DDT. Read her articles. They're cool. So please check those out as well. But of course, you can find and follow me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram, Twitter /X, and Threads at Queen Steph Hardy. Listen to the show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, everywhere you get your podcast, and watch it on the YouTube channel, and share and subscribe anytime you see me share a clip, because you literally cannot miss me every time I share a clip to this show or any other show that I've done. So please be on the lookout for that. A new episode of HWP will be coming out this weekend where I talk about what I liked in wrestling this week and all the reasons why Birmingham, Alabama deserves a WWE PLE in light of the 23rd anniversary of Armageddon 2000, which is the only PLE that has taken place in Birmingham. So I'm going to give my reasons as to why we deserve another one because it's been too long. And I will have more extra episodes to fit into my Mercedes Monet series, which I will be finishing. And yeah, I am really excited about that. And I will be, I'm currently working on my next article for Daily DDT, but read my other articles that I have with Daily DDT. I've been working really hard and I just love writing about wrestling. So it's getting, really good so far. So please be on the lookout for my next article and just continue to support us in our wrestling careers as we wrap up this year and head into 2024 and head into new things and, shake off the dust of the old year. Because, baby, we've been through a lot, but we still here. So, of course, as long as WOW is going and as long as wrestling is going, we are still here. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you for joining and for watching us. Thank you so much.
Thank
And we're
you,
proud
Nikki.
of you, too, with
We
the Shakers
are.
Den. Yes. Watched
Yes.
y'all. Watched y'all last night for NXT Uncut. Please watch NXT Uncut with the Shakers Den on Tuesday nights and also watch their Impact After Show as well. Like their stuff is really amazing. And their Raw versus SmackDown show too. Watch
Just follow the
everything.
girlies. Follow the girlies. They are killing
Yes.
it as always. Follow the
Yes.
girlies at the Shakers Den.
Yes, and on Battleground podcast as well, and on the Wrestling Classic. Just check them out and everything that they do. We love and support them in everything. So, of course, this has been Steph and Cat Talk Wow, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. And until next time, bye, y'all.